You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side.
Okay, welcome everybody to the 7th episode of the Northern Delinquents podcast. It is your main man, T. Fruit Turpin. What is going on? And it is your other boy over here, David Loops. And we've got Gabe and Mike.
What's going
over
on?
Here as well. We're all eating some wings, so sorry about the noise.
What up, you fucking beautiful pimps? Listen, let me tell you something. This is going to be our most rushed episode ever. Because Tristan has to leave in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, I gotta leave super soon.
We'll try and stretch it as far as we can, so we decided to start it up even though we were still eating. If you hear some retard ass chewing, then you know what? It's my fault because I didn't edit good enough, and I'm sorry.
Anyways, so we got some good topics to discuss today. The first one I'd like to talk about is the new Grade A Under A video. I'm sure people have seen it. He's got almost,
definitely at least a couple milli. If you're fucking creeping around YouTube enough to find our shit, you've definitely run into that.
Yeah, if you've seen our shit, you've probably seen Grade shit. So he was off for about 6 months now. Is that right? Around 6 months?
Yeah.
He was off. Okay. So around 6 months he was off, and he didn't really post anything. The last video he posted was the Season 2 thing. And he didn't even make a Season 2.
The last thing he posted, we're coming up with Season 2. We got brand new episodes, coming up.
So he didn't even make a Season 2, and he acknowledged in his new video, and he made it a joke that, the Season 2 stuff was great. It went by so quickly. I was so glad to make all of these great video. And then that's how he ended it. The good video is up. It's about, like the SJWs and the leftists and them changing their, vocabulary just because of some sort of miscontent on words. And since we are Canadians, we are of the northern people, and we are delinquents to a certain extent.
To a certain extent. One might name a podcast after that.
Yeah.
But listen, let me tell you, I did think his video was interesting, and he brought up a lot of points that I think were really sound. But that being said, I think he talked about a lot of shit and he dwelled on a lot of shit that was just retarded. Because he went in looking at it like, look at Justin Trudeau, this is his mentality, so if we change mankind to humankind, why can't we change any word that has man in it to a different word, right?
Exactly.
But I don't think that's what Justin Trudeau is doing. And for the record, I don't think he's a good prime minister.
No.
But listen here, alright? I think that what he was trying to do was, people have referred to for a long time the entire human population as mankind. It's one thing to say, I think we should change that to humankind because there's both genders. It's another thing to say that word has the word man in it, let's get it off, right? So I think he made a lot of sound points, but at the same time, a lot of it was void by the fact that he was trying to change every word of man in it. Justin Trudeau didn't say any word that has man in it is offensive. He said this word that represents every person on the planet shouldn't just be about men. And, I don't really give a fuck about words because I think they don't really have much meaning beyond what we give to them. Yeah. It's not necessarily something I disagree with. If we're going to have a word that represents every person on the planet, I don't have a problem with it including women, because I don't give a fuck.
Like, for example, certain phrases that, when taken literally, mean can mean exact opposite things of what it's really referring to, right?
Right. I think that there are a lot of rational people that think we should change it to humankind, and those same people would say we shouldn't change the word woman to one person, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's just total hypocrisy because they'll turn around and they'll say, we gotta change the words, But I feel like they're focusing on, the actual, literature and the intellectual version of, social justice. They're not actually focusing, when was the last time I saw somebody go outside and, set fire to a car? Or, have a riot or something. It's never that. It's always online, and I always hated that because I followed the movement back when it was about anarchy and it was about destroying the system, and it was actually something I was like, this is cool. I don't like the government. I don't like currency. I'd rather come up with my own. But then it turned into this cannibalistic version of themselves where they kill and eat anybody that disagrees with them remotely.
It's definitely true. I think the left wing is definitely destroying its own supporters. I, up until maybe the last couple of years, would have definitely considered myself as a liberal person. I mean, there's a lot of things I agree with them on fundamentally.
Well, for us, libertarianism isn't as far as they're going. Mm-hmm. We're going, like...
Right.
It's not as, like... We're liberals in the sense of it's, like
liberal in the sense of I would prefer the government tells me what to do a little bit less.
I feel like
but they're liberals in the sense that I want the government to tell me what to do, and on top of that, I want them to tell me, don't say these words so that other people around me can't say this.
They're not even 110% sure of what their political stance is on, because at any point when somebody comes to defend their point of view and it's against theirs, it doesn't, like, to prove that they weren't. Yeah, they had all those protests in Charlottesville, and then there's also the May Day ones, which not a lot of people know about, but on May the 1st, it's International Workers' Day.
Right.
And that basically grants most people who are truly, beneficial to the cause, they don't go to work, they don't go to school, they don't go to their job, they don't go to anything, and they go out and they protest, or they protest in their own way. And back when it was actually something to be thinking of, back when going out and doing something was prominent and was looked upon as, okay, well, he's actually going out and do something. But now that people are taking to Twitter, because that was the thing, that's where it all started, was on Twitter. And then it went on to websites and GoFundMes and all that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of shit that just doesn't seem relevant to the point you're trying to make. I mean, there's a lot of hate campaigns you could even go into, also in our country, like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
The persecution that guy has faced when his stance has very much not been against them is weird to me. Because I think I just don't understand it. Yeah. You have this guy who's talking about whatever, and maybe once in his lecture, he says something you disagree with. Now, you can either make that guy and harass that guy to only talk about that one thing he disagrees with and argue with him on that, or you could just listen to the 99 things in the same lecture you did agree with, right? I feel that there is a big, strong thing about everyone has to agree with me 100%. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with Jordan Peterson 100%. But maybe I do 90%, which means I respect his way of thinking, and I can listen to him and understand that just because he doesn't think of the same gender things the same way I do, it doesn't mean he's wrong about the psychology of the human mind. He's been for real training.
Mm-hmm. What I think this relates to is the political scale. Like, pardon me, the one with like the X and Y axis kind of like grid shape. Basically,
the like conservative, liberal, authoritarian, libertarian, mm-hmm. Right? Yeah.
I think it relates to that in that people take it as if you're not in the exact same point as me, you're in a different square. But like, if you're in the same square with someone, that doesn't mean you agree with all the points. It's a scale for a reason. It's
absolutely,
because it's varying levels of it. And what I think personally is people just go way over dramatic with it. Like, they think if you don't have the exact viewpoints as me and you don't think the exact same way I do, you're wrong.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I mean, if you really want to break it down, I think that is the real cancer of this movement, to try and get everyone to conform to their exact beliefs, is that no one will ever conform to your exact beliefs, because we're human. Even in this group of like 4 people that are doing this podcast, I'm sure that we're pretty similar people, but we don't agree on everything. I can guarantee you that, right? And it doesn't mean I can't be friends with you guys or need to protest you or any shit like that. It means we have different political agendas.
It's been stated before, but I personally think that having the same opinion as everyone else would be boring as fuck. Because, like, if you don't have a different opinion, what is there to talk about?
Well, arguably, the only thing that makes us human is the differences between us.
Yeah, no one's the same. That's what makes us human.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if everyone was the same, it'd be boring, because the way it is now, we can have interesting discussions. Some may be less civil than others, but when they are, they can actually be truly enjoyed and viewed upon in a, what's the word? With a keen eye. Right?
Definitely. Open-mindedness is really the key to politics in my eyes. There's so many interviews where it's a bunch of liberals yelling over a conservative person. And I'm sure there are some interviews where it's conservative people yelling over liberal people. It's just stupid as fuck. I hate the discourse. I'd love to see everyone just talk like fucking humans. Because we're in the same boat, even if we disagree on some shit.
Yeah.
Why are we treating each other like you are my only enemy? We're both humans. Just tell me how you feel, and I'll tell you how I feel, and everyone watching can decide how they feel, and then we'll have an election, and we'll see who wins.
Well, that's what happened like before. Like, that's how I used to view it as.
That's how politics have been for like the last 100 years, but maybe not the last 10.
Well, no, because when people thought of authoritarianism, they thought of like Hitler and dictators.
Yeah, authoritarianism means that the government's going to come in my home and tell me what to eat and what to do and shit.
Exactly, but if you want to look at it that standpoint, then any government is an authoritarianism government because they're telling you what to do. We have to pay the government back money for working.
Or we go to jail.
Yeah,
exactly.
And people will argue, but everyone pays taxes, and they fix the roads, and they go to the hospitals. Okay. And then I'll turn around and say, well, we shouldn't be funding that. The government should be. It's their job. As citizens, we have this obligatory reasoning in our head that if we don't do what they say, we'll get in trouble. And that's what they're afraid of, is people realizing that, well, if jail's not a barrier, if dying's not a barrier, then there's nothing else. The only thing why people don't do something is because they're scared of the repercussions. And right now in Canada, all that is jail. Yeah. We don't have the death penalty. The worst you can get is life, or get indicted.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain level too. Like, I've had jobs in the past. Right now, I'm going to school, but when I was working, I didn't mind paying taxes because it's like, you know what? I don't pay for healthcare, and I don't pay for the roads. I don't pay for all this shit. So if this is the way I pay for it, I'm okay with that. Now, granted, if you're broke as shit and the government's reaching down your pocket, maybe you don't give a fuck about roads, but they're still reaching down your pocket. I really think that rich people should be paying the real taxes, and I would love to see a higher level of line of poverty. Right now, our line of poverty, I think, is around $20,000, where if you make less than that in a year, you don't pay any taxes, and if you make more than that in a year, you pay taxes. And I've worked with people that have turned down promotions because they don't want to be above the line of poverty, and as soon as they do, they're going to have to start paying taxes. I think that line should be higher.
Because the thing is that most people have to claim whatever is in... whatever they're getting as income.
Right.
The only people that don't have to are people who get tips. So servers, bartenders.
Right.
Like, for a censored version, the person I'm living with, like my stepdad, he's a bartender. He's been a bartender for almost 45 years now.
Right.
Okay, he's been doing it since he was 16, and he's still doing it now. Now, he's like a mathematical genius. His IQ is over the 140 or whatever. Like, he's math, like, he's a genius. Like, on a piece of paper, he is.
Sure.
So the thing is that I always asked him about it. I was like, why aren't you in charge of a company? Because his dad owns an elevator installation and repair company. You know, he's a millionaire.
Yeah.
He has millions and millions of dollars. So
sure.
He's worth like 86 million or whatever. Now the problem with that is that this individual person doesn't like that corporate environment. They'd rather sit there and talk to the person. That's just their personality. That's just what they do.
Yeah.
So if it takes a person, like he makes around like $50,000 a year.
Sure.
And half of it's on tips. He doesn't have to declare that. So the Canadian Revenue Agency hates that because they don't have to. They can't take that. They can only take the other 25 whatever he's making.
Yeah.
And even and so technically I should be making more than him. Because if I worked 365 days a year at $14 an hour, I would be making $26,000.
Yeah, and then you would be paying more taxes than him.
Which is still not even the case, because obviously you're not going to work on weekends.
Yeah.
And obviously you're not going to work on like if you have a 6-day or you're on vacation. So let's say evenly you're making 24 to 23 grand a year, or 25 grand a year.
Sure.
That's only 5 to 3 to 4 grand away from the poverty line. And yet that 4 grand going up changes your taxes and the way you live, like, dramatically.
Yeah. I remember I was working with truck drivers, and they were trying to...
They don't even speak English.
They were trying to promote a truck driver to warehouse manager. Warehouse manager was right above the poverty line, and truck driver was right below it. And nobody wanted to take the job because they were like, I'm not going to make as much money if I take this promotion.
Yeah.
That's a little fucky because the warehouse managers were still living in poverty. I can tell you with inflation that easily the line of poverty should be higher. We should definitely have a higher standard of what we considered poor. Because if somebody makes, I mean, like, do you know the line of poverty right now? Do you know the, like, exact figure? Because I don't have it. Okay, sure. But anyways, that wage is enough for maybe you to live on. But if you have kids, you are poor. If you make $10,000 more than that a year, you are still poor as shit.
For a single person, it's $22,133.
Exactly. So you
line.
can't honestly...
For a single person. For a family, it's $38,335. And a family is defined as three people.
Right. So let's say you got two parents working a job. They're making just over that, like $40,000 together at a minimum wage job. That's not enough to feed a kid.
Yet what's interesting is that the median total income of Canadian households rose from $63,457 in 2005 to $70,000 in 2015. A 10.8% increase.
Yeah, to me, $70,000 is you don't have to worry about money. $50,000 if you have a family is where you're not poor, right? That's once you hit middle class.
So the average good salary in Canada, like the average, is $34,725. That's $17.81 dollars an hour. That's
right.
Entry level positions.
Yeah,
entry level. Okay, that's still amazing because when you think about it, if you were paying rent, or let's say if you go to any bank, let's use RBC as an example, they are only asking for a quarter of that down payment.
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't matter what you could get. You could get a mansion, you could get a trailer. As long as you have a quarter of that money in your hand, like in an account, or in your hand, they will. That's how Mike was able to get a condo, like a house.
Right.
Because he had the money and he only had to pay a quarter of it. They're basically handing it out. They're doing it safely, but they want people to live in houses, which is why I argue that the fact that banks only pay a 0.25%, like they only want a 0.25% of a down payment.
Yeah.
For anything.
Yeah.
So it could be a car,
any kind of loan,
whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
It's only a quarter, and I find that a little interesting because even though it's saying an average person makes $34,000 a year, when people look at that, it's almost like I have to reassure them that it's not like you're making $34,000 a year and you're keeping that.
Yeah.
You're spending it on groceries.
Yeah.
Half of the people are spending it on cigarettes or alcohol or drugs. That was in Statistics Canada.
Yeah.
That was in their census. A majority of people spend money on cigarettes, drugs, and alcohol.
Absolutely, and we do it too. Like, I can't even talk shit. I don't like the world.
We don't have salaries. We're getting paid by the hour.
Yeah.
For when we've worked, I haven't worked a salary job. Neither has Gabe, and neither have you.
It's true, but I can figure out what my salary was last year.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you can do the hours.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, like, it's interesting. At the end of the day, as much as I can shit on any government, especially Canadian, because I know more about it, at the end of the day, I really do feel like we live in the best country in the world.
We are also...
And anyone else who's listening to this, in any other country, you can suck my fucking dick, because I have a better country than you, you stupid bitch.
Yeah, so,
That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, anyways...
Let's move on. We're still fucking time crunched.
We don't have time for this next story, but it's actually a good thing because what I want to do is that I want to bring Joey, and I want to bring maybe Seth or Mike, if he's not doing anything. Well, no, he wasn't at the party.
Oh.
I want to bring people from the party because I want all of their inputs on what happened because we all remembered what happened.
It's true.
But I want to hear their commentary on what
I'm
happened,
into that because
on how that happened.
So basically, just so we're clear here, there was a New Year's party. There was more than one. Tristan went to 2. I just stayed at the first one. Yeah. He went to the second one. I'm interested to hear. Apparently, some shit went down. If
it was fucked.
Ever considered listening to this podcast again, that's coming up. That's coming up next time. Okay, so let's jump past that then. What else you got?
Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about.
Holy shit, Mike!
Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about that I realized that was kind of funny was the Bitcoin, like that Bitcoin is not hyped up anymore. It's at, for Canada right now, it's at 5,321.
Yeah, last time I checked that, it was at 10 grand last year.
Yeah. So at its heightened thing for Bitcoin in Canada, I think I'm shooting the numbers here, but I think it was around 27 or 28,000 at its peak.
Really?
Like at its highest point ever in the history of Bitcoin.
It was up there.
It was at 27,000.
The highest I ever saw was 20 grand.
Yeah.
I don't not believe that it was at 28.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. In 2007 or 8 or 5 or whenever the fuck it launched, it was at like $32 or $13. Okay? If you bought 5 Bitcoin, okay? 5 Bitcoin for that amount, and you waited until, I think it was 2017, and you waited and you cashed out, that would have been $27,000 times 5 Bitcoin.
Yep.
So you would have been rich. So, and this is how people, like, it's so hard to catch this shit because you feel like you're being left out once it's over. I remember, this is going to be bleeped, but I remember Sean Villeneuve telling me about this and saying, oh, we're going to be mining, we're going to make thousands of dollars, and I'm like, no, we're not.
Yeah.
I'm like, the inflation has stopped. It's going down.
Yeah. Everybody thought it was going to hit a new peak, and it never did.
Like, everyone kept saying that, oh, this is going to be the new currency, and I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, it'll have its height point, and it'll stay there, and for those people that have it, you know, like, it's very easy to look at that number. It's like gambling. It's like blackjack. Or roulette.
in the moment when it did blow up, when it did hit those 20 grand kind of numbers, that was at a time where every news media and a big thing on the internet picked up. They realized that if you bought Bitcoin in 2005 at a certain amount of money, it wasn't very high, it was about $100, you would have $1 million now. Yeah. Right? And I remember there was this other headline. It was a dude. He found out he had 30 Bitcoins on an old computer from 1990. And he became a millionaire, married a porn star the next day. Which is like, that's fucking crazy. So when everyone's talking about that, it's very natural for more people to be like, I gotta buy into this now. If I could have made $1 million 5 years ago, I can make $1 million 5 years from now. Right? And, I mean, that was a retarded mentality. I thought about it for a while. I decided not to buy any Bitcoin. I think the key, really, is to buy something like Ethereum or Bitcoin Lite or some gay shit like that. I mean, I'm probably not going to buy any of it, but if you're trying to get in on the ground floor, you got to get into a coin that is about to blow up, and every local news channel is about to talk about, oh my god, Johnny, did you hear about this new fucking coin that's worth 20 grand now? If you bought it this year, you'd be a millionaire. If you are genuinely feeling like you missed out on Bitcoin, look shit up. Look up what's been rising.
Yeah, don't feel too bad. It's over.
Buy into it. I don't think that online currencies are going to take over unless we get in a weird place where country currencies don't matter anymore. But they're definitely going to be profitable and also an easy way to lose your money in the near future. So just invest safely.
That's like the end of the comment. That's like the end of the story there. It's a gamble. But thank you for all listening today.
Yeah,
it has been the Northern Delinquents podcast. I know this was 23 minutes, but it's a hard listen. Stay tuned for the next episode. Sorry we haven't uploaded. We're not sticking to schedule. We lost some episodes. They were fucked up. Other than that, though, it has been your man Fruit Loops.
I'm over here.
Michael, Gabe's not in the room right now.
Yeah, a lot of people dipped. So anyways, everybody, tune in next week for another 23 minutes of me being drunk and talking about stuff I won't remember. Okay, bye, everybody.
We chased our pleasures here, dug our treasures there.